Welcome back, folks. My name is LastKnownMeal, and today we're going to be talking about Hogwarts Legacy. So yesterday on State of Play, they showed us 15 minutes of new gameplay, obviously showcasing as well what we're going to be able to do in the game. So today, we're going to be going through all just that, showcasing the graphics, the sound, and everything else that they have shown to us. Now keep in mind, initially I was not really excited about this game because I didn't know what it is going to be and how big is it going to be, but after them showing all of this, I can say like, yeah, this game is incredibly promising and at the same time very ambitious, and I do hope that in the end, on release, everything is going to be alright and we're going to actually enjoy this game to the fullest. So now let's talk about the game itself. First off, I'm going to start with graphics. Keep in mind you also have the timestamps down below so you can navigate to each section I was talking about. Obviously, some of the first things we do see is that what benefits we have from the current gen. Not obviously going from the graphics, which here are looking really nice, especially with the amount of details actually set in the world, because all of the gameplay footage they have been showing always shows a lot of detail, especially in the background. There is always something moving, there is always something going around, and at the same time they played really nice with light, and I actually like how everything looks in the game, especially going from those more positive heartfelt moments to going to those dark caves and fighting all of those enemies. I think they really nailed the look of the game to really portray how the books have done it and also what movies have done by themselves. Generally, it does seem that some portions of the game are done in 60 frames while some are done in 30. For example, seeing some of the fighting footage, actually I was like, okay, is this 30 or 60? So it could be connected with the settings we're going to have in the game, obviously going from probably fidelity mode to performance itself. I do hope that the difference is not going to be huge, but because this game is specifically made for PlayStation 5, obviously they can allocate more resources to this specific platform, so that's why they can fully implement it directly into PlayStation. Generally, animations and the look of the character look nice, especially during the fight. I can really see how much passion they actually put into these spells and how the character moves, so on that side I also think it's phenomenally done. Also, at the same time, we can also see the magnitude of the world we're going to be able to explore, because having next gen does not only mean graphics, it means how much can you fit in the world, like how detailed can this world be and how much can the engine actually stream into the console itself, which we can see here is actually looking quite nice. Now, there were some moments in this game where there has been some FPS hiccups, and keep in mind, they said at the beginning that this is early gameplay done on PlayStation 5 developer kit. Some of it is going to be a combination of CGI, cinematics, and some of it is going to be actual gameplay. Now, the fidelity they're going here is actually amazing, so I do hope that in the end, the frame rate is going to hold out and everything is going to be flowing nicely with the game, especially looking at these textures and looking at the amount of detail they have put. Next up, we're going to be talking about exploration. So in this game, you're going to be exploring everything in and around Hogwarts. And at the same time, you're going to be going to Hogdmeade and to basically buy more spells, more abilities, more outfits, and at the same time fight enemies over there as well. Within Hogwarts itself, you're going to be able to explore various magical dungeons, it seems, and secrets that are going to most likely help you out with your spells and abilities you have. Also, outside of Hogwarts, you're going to be exploring throughout the nature itself, going through all of those woods and basically dungeon areas to fight various magical beasts and monsters themselves over there, as well as they show here, various witches and witches that are actually going to be against you and who are going to be aligned with the Goblin Uprising, which I think is going to be one of the main premises of the game itself. I also like different areas you have here, especially with the amount of detail they put into these levels, going from the monsters themselves, obviously, to the look of these dungeons, which I think is looking really nice, and they definitely nailed this atmosphere. Now let's talk about the character you play. So first off, you're gonna be going into Hogwarts a little bit late, starting at year 3, I believe. After that, obviously you're gonna be able to create your character, so choose your male or female, or basically create how the character is going to look like. After that, you're gonna be obviously decided into which house you're going to go. Now this process is still not known yet. Obviously we know how the houses are being sorted from the books, but at the same time, I don't know which part of our character is going to obviously influence that, either going from the stats we put in, or maybe the history we have in the character creation, or maybe there is going to be something else throughout the prologue, which is going to help us kinda decide which house we're gonna be going into, or well, which house is gonna be decided for us to go into. So this process is going to be obviously interesting. Besides, you know, fighting enemies and monsters, we're also going to be attending classes in school itself. And as it seems here that our character is gonna be able to learn various skills and abilities, not just from school, but obviously exploring those dungeons as well. And as our character, we're obviously gonna be meeting different people, different you know, people at Hogwarts, which are going to be our companions. And at the same time, if we are, you know, good with that companion, it's going to unlock various different stories that are going to basically talk about their history and everything they have. It does seem that each one of the characters we're going to meet in the game, especially when it comes to our companions, is going to have some secret behind them that we're going to be able to uncover as we get into a better relationship with them. Next up, let's talk about combat. So at first, when this showcase started, I was like, okay, is this game actually going to have proper combat? And then they actually went into it. And so far, combat looks extremely promising. I like the effects they play around with here, especially various other abilities and magical spells you can do, going from various different playstyles you're going to be able to play. And here we can actually see how to fight those enemies, because it seems there is going to be a general lock-on, and so far the magical spells are you know, so far in the fight they look like they're going to be extremely fluid. That means we're gonna be able to fire multiple spells at the same time depending on our character and how we play our character. Obviously this combat is going to be different depending on what spells we use. For example, here we can see that this character is actually using stealth, so we could be using a stealth cloak and different incapacitating abilities to turn your enemies into stone. From various other magical spells, we can also use more of those offensive attacks, which are going to be fighting multiple opponents, and at the same time we're going to be able to pick up various objects on the ground and utilize them in the fight itself. Now keep in mind, enemies in this game are going to be able to neutralize us as well, but at the same time incapacitate us, stun us, and everything else. So all of the spells that we have at our disposal, enemies are most likely going to have at our disposal themselves. Also at the same time, by learning new abilities and new spells in the school, and most likely unlocking them by, you know, getting into a better relationship with your companions, and as well going and exploring out, we're gonna be able to mix those spells and magical abilities to fight those enemies into various ways, and actually see some difference here, especially some of the finishers, like just for example taking on a sword and then using that sword to fight this enemy and to return the sword to him. That was really nice. Also, it does seem there is going to be some sort of levitation in this game, most likely after we unlock it later on. But yeah, so far, like the oomph sound that you have in combat, I think is incredibly important, and I think so far as what I was able to see is done really well. I also like how mobile our character is going to be, so obviously doing these vaults and obviously, you know, going around, I actually like that a lot. So I'm glad that they actually approached the combat in this way to make it more action-packed and how would I say, even more challenging, especially if you decide to play on higher difficulties, which I'm sure is going to be the case. Now also, besides this, we're gonna be able to craft our own things, so collecting things in the world and obviously bringing them back is going to give us an ability to craft more offensive and defensive abilities as well, like for example traits, upgrades, and appearance. I'm sure that appearance in this game, obviously using different outfits, is going to give us some sort of a buff. I do not think it's going to only stay on just the cosmetic, and also we're gonna be doing alchemy and potion making and everything else which might help our character actually progress further. So there are a lot of details here, which I'm really glad. As we can see here, like for example, this potion turns us into stone, which is probably going to increase our armor and everything else. So yeah, exploring everything, picking up everything, finding new stuff. For example, spawning various beasts you can use to fight enemies. This is insane. Like honestly, they went really out of everything to put as many options they can to fit your playstyle here, which I think is incredibly nice. And yes, also we're gonna be able to fly with a broomstick. I also saw a little bit of a flight with a griffin. I'm not sure if this is going to be the case, or maybe we're just going to see this during some cutscenes or maybe some mission or story moments, but it does seem, yes, that we're gonna be using a broom to go throughout the open world area, which I think is really nice, and this is definitely one of the biggest additions out there. It's also gonna be interesting to see how much can we upgrade the broom, and if there's gonna be some other possibilities we can do to make our travel either faster or maybe get some new abilities with that broom. But again, I'm glad they decided to do this way. way because why not? Everyone who read the books, who watched the films, especially kind of my generation of people, always wanted a game, Harry Potter game, that you can actually go and have a broomstick on and, you know, maybe later Quidditch. Besides that, we're also going to have a room of requirement. Now, the room of requirement is going to unlock us different things. So it does seem that we're going to be able to craft various stuff using Moonstone. As you can see here, the Moonstone is probably something that we're going to collect as we explore out there, and obviously giving us various invisibility potions, different plants that we're going to be able to use. Like, for example, the potting station where you can put, like, for example, this venomous plant, and after 24 minutes, it's going to basically probably bloom, and then we can pick it up. Also, one of the great things I've saw here is that you can place an actual cottage in some areas, so I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to make our own little base or anything that we're gonna be able to enter the cottage as well or something else, but it does seem we're gonna be able to heavily customize this area over here, which is again a very nice feature in the game. Actually, if we go to Hogdmeade, we can actually talk with some people who are going to give us various other potions and outfits. You can see here, like for example, the outfits themselves look nice, and Hogdmeade, from the graphical standpoint, looks incredibly nice. And obviously we can see some story moments where obviously our character is going to have some dark secret. We're going to be generally stronger than other people. And of course, people have been asking if some familiar faces will be returning. Not all of them. There are some, but obviously you have to keep in mind that getting those people into a video game costs a lot of money to get the rights for them, especially if you want the same actors who are going to be voice acting, so it's completely understandable. Also, for the end, I want to talk about changing seasons. So as you actually go into your school, there are going to be different seasons as you progress the story, and those seasons are going to most likely offer various other things for us to do and explore. Besides all of the other activities, you know, that are not going to be combat based, we're going to be able to explore and do within Hogwarts and also outside Hogwarts, where, for example, we see some of the areas that were actually used by Merlin himself, as the game actually tells you. So exploring all of these things, finding new stuff, is probably going to be one of the major selling points into this game. And not just that, but we've seen a lot of different items that the player uses, so they're really going out of their way into this game with the production design and how the levels look, and the story is going to be really nice, hopefully. So that's pretty much it I have for today. So honestly, this game looks extremely promising. I don't know why, but I just got excited for it for some reason, because it just looks like a very open world RPG, besides being, you know, set in the Hogwarts castle and all of that. So even if you're not really a fan of this, going from maybe an RPG standpoint, I'm sure that some people will enjoy this. But again, hopefully the release is going to be smooth, hopefully frame rate is going to be nice, and hopefully the game won't have glitches and bugs, because we know that generally open world games can be problematic from time to time when it comes just to polishing. So hopefully everything is okay. And this is everything for today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter and Discord, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to also smash that like and subscribe button. The game is coming out on holiday 2022. It's going to be a packed November and December with Starfield and everything else coming out, so hopefully all of this is going to be alright. Also, huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters, and this is LKM signing out. Stay classy everyone, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.